Hello, welcome to video number 4, and this is about autism and breaking the myth of our problem with authority and doing as I'm told. Okay, here goes. As children, we are taught to respect our elders, teachers, parents, and any other authority figures. The problem with this for children with autism is that they are constantly being disrespected and having their needs and boundaries ignored, while at the same time are told to respect the very same people who disrespect us. A teacher, for example, asked me to write a poem about my experience at school, so I wrote about the bullying I experienced, to which the teacher marked with a positive tick and a comment saying, "Very good, Nicola." Because I didn't directly ask for the help and expressed my feelings in creative form instead, it was disregarded by the teacher, and soon I learned that being bullied was something I had to be put up with. It became normalized. The first few years of school are critical to children's development, and all I learned at school was how to feel more and more insecure and rejected. Autism wasn't recognised when I was in school and was only diagnosed in boys due to the ways that some males have externalised their behaviours so obviously. Whereas I was always overwhelmed, tired, confused and very quiet in school. I was mostly non-verbal at primary school and spoke robotically when spoken to directly by teachers. Going non-verbal is common for us, and some autistic people do not talk at all. We're in a sphere spectrum where all our traits and difficulties and positive attributes can be totally different at totally different times, but the core of who I am is autistic. I choose to say autistic because I was born like it, and autism isn't something one can acquire. So it does define me, but that is because I know what it means to be autistic, unlike a lot of people out there who assume what it is and judge us harshly. There is no one who can judge me more harshly than myself. When I say sphere, like that, so many different colours, so many attributes, you know, your environment, your upbringing, so many attributes. So we can show different traits at different times, and we can suppress our traits at different times, depending on so many different things. When as children we are encouraged to listen to authority figures and they let us down, it's no wonder we grow up to feel even more confused. Oh yeah, and the spectrum isn't like low functioning to high functioning because of the sphere which I just explained, and there's more information you can look up yourself if you want on the internet and in the library. But I just wanted to say about my problem with authority. It's not an autistic trait to have a problem with authority. We were told that authority figures were there to help us and they let us down. So it's contradicting what we've been told, and we take things literally. So if we've been told that the police are there to protect us and keep us safe, and then we build up the courage to go to the police and then they protect the perpetrator, it's going to have a, negative effect on anyone. Right, let me just scroll. It's no wonder we grow up to feel even more confused and with huge trust issues. The people that were supposed to help me let me down. We are taught to trust the police from a very young age, and that is very hard for me because I've had to fight my own corner as a victim of abuse endless times, while the police have ended up protecting the perpetrator, the violent man, the guilty party. My experience of trusting authority has more often than not made my situation worse. The constant anxiety of it has made me ill. What if I trust and I'm let down again? I cannot take any more hurt. If I don't trust, then I stay wounded with no chance of hope or justice to ever prevail. So it is a huge risk which could be detrimental to my health. To see promises written down is easier for me to trust, but I cannot expect people to be this thoughtful all the time. It comes naturally to me and to most autistic women I have communicated with. It's not a hard task to give the autistic person the reassurance they need to enable them to move forward without fear. Mistaking this for attention seeking is wrong because we lack the practical help and skills sometimes. For instance, simple instructions written down by a person whose intent I can fathom is easier to comprehend than to trust some half-hearted words that pour out of a person's mouth while they are multitasking in a busy or noisy environment. I cannot trust that I've had all the information if the person seems unattentive. Which is funny, isn't it? Because people say that autistic people are unattentive or they appear to be rude because they can't do eye contact. I can do eye contact, especially when it's one-to-one in a quiet environment and when it's somebody I can trust, family members or close friends. But then I've been forced to maintain eye contact. As children, we were taught to look at so-and-so when they're talking to me, otherwise it's rude, you know. So that's been ingrained into my brain, but I wish I could look at the floor when in appointments so I could actually comprehend what the person's saying to me. If I was to look at the floor or draw a picture, colour in a mandala, my brain would be like a sponge, you know, but I miss so many things because of all the other things that are going on, the visuals, you know. There's a lot to work out. And autistic brains, they are constantly working things out, you know. Why did that person look like that? What's over there? What are you looking at? What's your intent? Where are you coming from? You know, it's constant busyness. So I cannot trust if I've had all the information if the person seems unattentive. But autistic people do seem unattentive sometimes, you know, but maybe given the right environment and if we weren't thought of as a burden and we were listened to the way we want to be heard, then it's easy to comprehend, you know. I've been to Spain. I don't speak very good Spanish, but I can get by. I've had a conversation with deaf people. I've learnt basic sign language, you know, but I still want to learn more. I'd like to be able to communicate with people from all walks of life, you know, and if I can't, it frustrates me and I want to find a way. So it's really frustrating when neurotypical people can't find a way to talk to us, to communicate with us, and just write us off as troublemakers, attention seekers, or drama queens. That's another classic, drama queen. So I've learned to suppress all my emotions all my life, which is not healthy because I felt like a fizzy bottle of lemonade that's just been shaken and psh, that's how it feels when, you know, I haven't released that yet. I feel like the misunderstanding is the most frustrating part about it. I have I have trouble opening up to my doctor in a small room where I feel trapped and vulnerable. I have been touched up by my GP as a teenager and by an osteopath when in my late 20s, when already feeling extremely vulnerable. I was told to trust authority, and they are right and I am wrong, always. Although they have absolutely no authority to touch me inappropriately, and I don't class any of these people as authority figures now. But in the past, with no knowledge whatsoever that I am autistic, I felt inferior to most people. Now I don't at all, because with a diagnosis, I have understanding, and with understanding comes boundaries and safety and knowing when it's okay to shout stop or help. Always feeling like I've done something wrong and walking on eggshells around people gives them the power to abuse me furthermore. It could be subtle, but the cat becomes cattier and the mouse becomes mousier. a power dynamic which is the foundation of Stockholm Syndrome, which is a psychological response that is built in to victims after they've suffered abuse. I won't go into this in depth because it's intense, and I'm trying to heal myself so I can conquer this anxiety and move forward with my life in positive ways with people who truly understand me. My processing problems, which are a part of my autism, is why I have gone non-verbal and have not been able to process at the exact time when these violating incidents have occurred. It is not until I'm out of the danger zone, looking back in retrospect, that I can see what has actually happened. My body freezes in response to abuse, and my brain is working overtime to process what is happening at the time. I cannot speak, and I felt inferior, weak, and like there is a rock lodged in my throat. I didn't tell anyone because I was taught in school that to speak up was wrong. Adults are right and children are wrong. I have grown up thinking that there is something seriously wrong with me and to not trust doctors, teachers, or police. Life can be difficult if one feels they cannot visit their own doctor, tell the police when they have been assaulted, abused, or ask the teacher to help stop the bullies. So when I see writings from old school psychologists saying that people with autism have a problem with authority, when it is the fact that they have been betrayed by these authority figures, how can we trust the help and support that is provided when we have been let down so many times by the system? When nothing is consistent, when we as autistic people have taken anything we have learned from authority literally, then to be abused even more by them invalidating us, disbelieving us, assuming that we are troublemakers if we are to build up strength and courage to eventually speak up after we finally get to a place where we have processed the incidents. And it may take a long time to process, and some people can't process it at all, because of lifestyles, environments, victim of your situation, feeling trapped. I've taken time out to get to know myself, isolate myself, and process, which is really important. I didn't know what was going on at the time. To make sense out of a situation, we need to be away from it and allowed to slowly process in a safe, quiet environment, safe away from our triggers. When I was sexually assaulted by a retired solicitor, a mason, a respected man of the community, a royalist and churchgoer whose wife I looked after for 4 years or more, my body froze. The time it took for me to respond seemed very long. I was trapped and shocked in turmoil afterwards. I didn't know what to do. I was scared and I needed validation from someone I trusted for them to tell me it was wrong and unacceptable because I was still in the middle of processing the incident while still in the trigger zone. I was trapped in the trigger zone and I couldn't leave. I realized that day that I did not feel safe in life generally and never really have. I moved away again where I suffered more trauma and was still processing it, and finally I went to the police in April after the incident happened on Christmas Day, which was a big deal for me given my past experiences with the police. But luckily it was a very good friend of mine's husband who's a policeman, and I could talk to him off the record. But it took a few months before I was able to do that, Self-blame, that's common amongst abuse survivors. But autistic people take a longer time to process, I still do not feel like justice has prevailed, but I have to try and let it go for my own sanity and health. The police were kind to me, but nothing was really done about it except the perpetrator downplaying what he did, to which the police are satisfied. I assume because of his status in society. and I have no strength in me to follow it through, because that means I'll have to deal with strangers in uniform questioning me constantly in a police station where no one understands autism, and I'm not prepared to risk feeling that worthless ever again. So here I am, desperately trying to let this go, which is extremely hard for me because I'm a truth-seeking autistic Aquarian who is a strong believer in truth and justice. Authority figures to me can be anyone. People in suits carrying briefcases, bouncers, security guards, bosses, anyone who has control over me, my security, my safety. Authority figures to me can be very positive and lovely. But that element of inferiority is present at times, which controls how I behave, what I think and what I say. The nodding dog syndrome is another trait I've experienced due to my people-pleasing ways. I will mirror what I think the person in front of me needs me to be in that moment. And when I'm away from that person and have processed what they have asked, I realise that I have said the wrong answer, or I've said something that I might not feel the same about when I'm on my own away from it. Not all the time. I usually know what I want, but sometimes when you're overwhelmed, it's hard to, when somebody takes you off guard and you're like, yeah, okay, what's going on? I've gone against what I need because of the time it takes me to process the question. I need to learn how to say, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. More examples of authority figures, in my eyes, have been even receptionists at the doctor's surgery. They dress in black suits and wear heels and a neckerchief. Just like teachers, they walk with a purpose and a clipboard and are in charge of our health, what time we go there, what day. And they've got very sensitive information. So to me, they've got a bit of power over me, you know, and that doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me, because as far as autistic people are concerned, they believe that all humans are equal, but not all humans believe this, you know, and there's lots of power struggles going on, and we just want to withdraw from society for that reason, really, and many other reasons. It's a noisy world out there. They had some kind of power over me, which is why I find it very overwhelming to go to the doctors in the first place. But to get past the battle axes at reception is another challenge in itself. With no understanding of autism, how can the system be possibly changed? Neurotypicals made up these rules, but the rules seem to change a lot during life. As an autistic woman who cannot cope with change well, it's confusing, exhausting, and debilitating to navigate my way through life. Having trust issues with authority has led to other problems where I'm not trusting the right people. I do trust some people. I've had to, you know. I've had a tenancy support worker, alcohol support worker, and if I hadn't trusted them, I wouldn't have got the help. So even though it was going against my grain, it was causing me major anxiety to trust a total stranger come into my flat because she was helping me, but she turns out that she's really lovely anyway, and I'm so grateful, and I actually miss her coming round to see me and helping me. But I'm okay now. I can deal with opening my mail on my own without having a panic attack, so that's really good. The people who do actually want to help and support me, I've not been able to trust them, which is heartbreaking for me because I want to better myself. But to feel traumatized, to feel too traumatized to fully trust anyone. People in authority have let autistic people down, and then autistic people are blamed for reacting to a broken system and are labelled as trouble. Everything I believe in and want to fight for, unfortunately, has too much paperwork involved. so I gave up because of institutional discrimination. The trouble with my mind being conditioned to feel this way is that it has now become a general feeling even when I'm not amongst authority figures. Nobody would know because I mask it so well to appear polite and attentive. This is exhausting too. I only spend time with people who I can be my authentic self with. I can be very sociable, but more often than not it comes with a price that is detrimental to my emotional and mental health. Sorry, I was going to tell you a story then about a bouncer who manhandled me, but I don't want to get into that now. It'll make me anxious. So I'll make another video soon and hope to break some more of the stigma and the myths about autism. Okay, I hope you find my experiences helpful and insightful. And one day I hope to study psychology because I find it really fascinating learning about myself. So it would be nice to get a qualification in it and maybe do a job that I know I can succeed at, maybe one-to-one counselling. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, take care. Good night.